Most of the time when people talk about the benefits of going on walks, you'll typically hear that it's good for your mental health, it's good for generating ideas, it's good to stay in shape, especially if you don't have another form of exercise you regularly do. And while these are all true, there's one benefit that I've never heard anyone else talk about when it comes to walking that has actually probably been more impactful to me than the previous three benefits. And I wanted to share it with you guys because I think it's a pretty big one for most people. And that benefit is the social aspect of going on walks, the boost to your social skills. This might not apply if you live countryside or not very near most people, but if you live in a city or town where there's lots of people out on trails, even at malls, stuff like that, anywhere where you normally go for a walk, and if you see other people, this applies to you. And when I was younger, I was a pretty shy guy. I was terrible at eye contact. I wouldn't look at people when they were speaking to me. I wouldn't look at them when we were passing on the street. I wouldn't ever say hi to anyone. I wouldn't initiate a conversation unless someone did it to me first. And I've just only started to notice this past year or two, where I've really realized how much going on a walk has benefited my social skills. Like I said, I was usually the shy guy, and I had that mental picture of myself as somebody that's shy, doesn't like to converse with people, but that has changed a lot in these last couple of years, and I attribute a lot of that to going onto walks, because you're always out seeing other people, and one day I decided I just needed to switch things up and actually try and make a push to be more social. I've been there as a shy person, and I don't think there's anything wrong with being introverted, preferring to get your energy of being by yourself. But I realized being shy is a hindrance as you get older, and the ability to be a social person brings a lot of benefits. And I've seen both sides of this. I've seen both sides of the coin here, so I know what it's like to be a very shy, socially anxious person. And I'd like to consider myself much improved in that skill nowadays. And it benefits me in my relationships, meeting new people, even at my career and at work. Being able to network better, being able to socialize is such not an underrated skill, but I don't think a lot of people realize how much of a benefit it is when you actually take the time to develop it as you would any of your other skills. So all I would do is I started small when I was out on my walks. Instead of purposely keeping my head down and avoiding eye contact with people upcoming on the pathway with me, I started small. I started to just make eye contact. I wouldn't say hi, I wouldn't smile or anything, which I know still sounds pretty rude. But back in the day, that was a big step for me, was going from not even acknowledging the person I was about to cross paths with, but to actually look at them now and to acknowledge them there within that same space as me was a big step for me. And I believe this is how everyone needs to start if you're going from zero like I was, where you were just very to yourself and you were just out there for the exercise or the mental health benefits. But that's the power of walks, is you can get those benefits for your physical and mental, but adding this social aspect into it was a very big deal for me. And I've started to really lean into that and treat my walks as another time I can really focus in on my social skills, because pretty much every time I go out, I'll see multiple people now. And so after I just looked at people in the eye, I started to, give them a smile, like when you cross paths with somebody, you just give them that little nod of approval, right? Not like, hello, I see you. And it doesn't matter who it is, like if it's someone you find attractive, it's someone you don't find attractive, it's a young person, it's an old person, literally anybody. You get to treat everybody as a person, and when you look at everybody as an equal, it pays off in the long run, because you're not only saying hi to one type of person, you're not saying hi to only people your age, so that's the only people you're comfortable with. If you see somebody older and you think of them as intimidating or something, you don't apply the same steps with each person, it's going to kind of throw you off, and it's not as good for your practice, because you want to be able to have the ability to be social with everybody, and that's an underrated skill. A lot of the time, especially now, like, I'm in my early 20s, and I know a lot of guys my age will just think of social skills as conversing with women they see attractive, but that's not really a good place to start from, because that's just one small majority of the vast pool of people. When people just are focusing on flirting with the opposite gender in their same age range, that cuts off your ability to be able to converse with little kids, and show interest in what they're into. And the same with older folks. Everybody is different, and that's why you need to practice these skills, such as eye contact, saying hello to them, giving them a nod, on everybody, because when you can do it with everybody, it means you're going to get comfortable with everyone. And that's the goal you want to get to, is to be comfortable with meeting a stranger, anybody, no matter their age, no matter their gender, no matter where they're from, none of that. You just want to be a good social person. And you got to just start with what you're comfortable with. Eye contact is a great place to start. Just looking at them, getting the practice of letting the other person look away first. That was what I always learned, was don't be the first person to look away when you look somebody else in the eyes. Let them be the one to, because it is still intimidating for most people to look somebody else in the eye that they don't know. So once you've got that down and you're starting to give them a nod, saying, hello, just say hey. I just like to usually say hey there, or like, how's your day going, And it's a great place because there's not really any pressure to stop and converse with the other person. You're both going about your own way, doing your own thing. So most people expect to just say, a nice little hello and continue on your way. Sometimes you'll stop if they have like a dog, you want to pet the dog, you can get into a nice conversation or something. But that's the beauty of this, is practicing this on walks, is because it's very fluid, it's very dynamic. Every situation is going to be a little bit different, and it's just a low pressure environment. People feel good when they're out moving, when they're out exercising. So generally people are going to be pretty friendly, and that's not the case for everyone. There's been many times where I'll be looking at someone, trying to give them eye contact, say hello, and they just don't look at me. And I used to find that like, hey, whoa, that was rude, I would think in my head as I'm walking away. But then I remembered that's exactly how I used to be when I was in my late teens. I would do that exact same thing. I would just pretend that that person didn't even exist. So it's very hypocritical of me to have that happen to me now, and I think, oh, what a rude person. But everybody has different level of social skills, and maybe they're at where I was just a few years ago, and so that's okay. You want to focus on your input, what you're bringing to yourself, your skills, and not on the output. So everything that you do is in your control, and once that's out of the way, what the other person does doesn't matter, as long as you put in the reps. Maybe you said hello to them and they just straight up ignored you. There's no harm. In fact, you won, because you're improving your skills, you're getting better at conversing with people, and them saying nothing to you does not mean that situation was a loss. Is it nice if they did say hi back or something like that? You get into conversation. Yeah, sure, that's the goal. Everyone wants to have a good outcome on both ways, but remember, if you focus on your input, what you can control, you're always going to win as long as you're putting in the reps. So that is what I wanted to bring up for that. And it's not even an improvement you'll notice, like I didn't wake up one day and think to myself, wow, I'm a super sociable person. Your baseline just naturally gets higher over time, and conversations with anybody becomes easier, like those, for example, I used to be very shy and I didn't want to say hi to my neighbors or anything. But just when I was coming out today, I had a good few-minute conversation with a neighbor that I typically wouldn't have a conversation with. And was I perfect in it? No. It was, there's always that little bit of awkwardness when you're talking to somebody you don't ever often talk to. And if that was me a few years ago, and without any of my practice, I would have been terrible at it. I wouldn't have known what to say. I wouldn't have been able to flow with a conversation. But after all these years of just going out and just starting small, doing some small things, saying hello, like it adds up a whole lot more than you think. And you're never going to get worse at this, It's just a new baseline level that you're going to have. And it feels very good. It feels very freeing, like there's a lot less pressure. Like I'm sure you guys have had that awkward situation where you see somebody in like a long hallway or something, and you're like waiting for that perfect moment to like say hi or something. I've had that happen to me so many times now, and it's like I don't even think about it as anything awkward at all. If I see somebody I know, it's not awkward at all anymore. I just do what I do to every person, like I said earlier, because I'm treating everybody as an opportunity to hone in my skills, to practice my skills, and it pays off. It works. I'm getting better at what I do, and the same can apply to you. And all you got to do is just say hi to people, just acknowledge them. Are you bad at eye contact? Focus on that. Just don't be the first person to look away. If you feel like your conversation skills struggle a little bit more, be the first person to say hi. Don't wait till the other person to say hey. If somebody has like a cute dog or something, ask the owner questions about the dog, start a little few-minute conversation. And over time, it's going to be so easy for you to get in and out of these social interactions. And you're not going to have to overthink everything you say anymore. And it's so stress-free when you can get to a point where you don't have to worry about every little thing you say. You just be yourself, say what comes natural to you, and you just flow in the conversation, But that's just a little secret benefit that I've had over my years. I've been taking walks every now and then, and I wanted to bring some attention to it because, like I said, I've never heard anyone mention social skills as a benefit of going outside, going on walks. It doesn't even need to be outside. Like I said, you could go to like a mall or something and just walk around and still practice the same ideas. It won't be as intimate because there's obviously way more people. Like when I am downtown or something and a whole bunch of people on the street, I'm not saying hi to every single person on the street. I'm not even really looking at everybody because it is a little bit different when you're in a big crowd like that. But when you're out on a local trail, or doing like a hike or something, it's just you and the person that you're about to walk past usually. And it makes it a much better practice situation because you're kind of expected to look at that person and acknowledge they're there, which is different when you're in a very busy place. You're not expected to acknowledge every single person that walks past you, if you know what I mean. But it's definitely a great thing to keep into your mind if you want to start going on walks, or if you already do. So instead of just thinking about feels good for my mind, it feels good for your body, which are the other benefits of going on a walk, but that's a topic for a different video. But I just wanted to touch on that on this one because, like I said, I've never heard anybody bring that up as a benefit. So give it a shot and hopefully it works for you. But if you try any of this, maybe let me know in the comments, or if you have figured this out on your own, I'd love to hear about your experiences because we can all learn when we talk about stuff like that. So that's all I got for you today. Thanks.